What the heck is going on with my feed tonight? My feed is having problems. Am I still good? Are we buffering? Hey, from Wisconsin, what's up? Yep. I thought Bar looked good. I don't have any problems with Bar. Some people did. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So tweeted this out. I'm going to read this to you. This is a tweet from Roku. After the InfoWars channel, Alex Jones channel, became available, we heard from concerned parties and determined that the channel should be removed from our platform. Deletion from the channel store and platform has begun and will be completed shortly. So the deplatforming of Alex Jones and InfoWars continues. Now, I'm not the biggest InfoWars fan in the world, but I'm also a big free speech proponent, and the way that they're deplatforming conservatives is not good. I'm a little concerned I might be in the not too distant future because I talk about some subjects that the power brokers in Silicon Valley don't like. So we need to use our voice and make sure and let these platforms know we're not going to stand up to their censorship. All right. I have a tweet from Jack Posobiec I want to share with you. This is Jack Posobiec, okay? The guy who attempted to expose Q as a fake a couple months ago. So this is a tweet from Posobiec. To be clear, the entire leadership of Obama's FBI has all been either fired for misconduct or come under investigation for criminal activity. Let that sink in. Okay, so Jack Posobiec is quoting Q. Q has reminded us repeatedly over the last 6 months that James Baker, Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Page, the list goes on. All the people in the FBI, all the people in the DOJ, top level people, all gone, all fired. And people say nothing is happening. Well, Posobiec, who doesn't believe in Q, is making Q's case. Look at all these people that have been fired and removed from power. All these deep state operatives who've been cleaned out, and say nothing's happening. Even Posobiec knows something is happening. All right. William Barr had his first day in confirmation hearing in the Senate. I did not watch the entire thing. I got snippets of it. Two things people are concerned about, one of which is a statement by Barr that let's see if I can get this clip here. There's an article about Barr. Well, no, it's missing. But the main concern people have was at the end of the questioning of Barr, he said he doesn't care for the lock her up, the lock up Hillary chanting, that he doesn't like that, doesn't care for it. And when asked about prosecuting the Clinton, his statements that he'd previously made that said he believes the Clinton Foundation is more deserving of investigation than the Trump-Russia situation. Barr, all right, they asked Barr, what did you mean when you said the Clinton Foundation is more deserving of investigation? Are you saying that you want to criminally investigate the Clinton Foundation? And Barr said, look, he quoted another attorney general, I can't think of his name, but he talked about America is not a banana republic. We don't prosecute our political enemies, all right? What he was saying is we should be above tit for tat prosecuting our political opponents just because we're in office and we want to prosecute them. And some people have taken Barr's statements to say that he is not interested in seeing the Clinton Foundation prosecuted. It's actually not what he said. And look, Barr is in a very difficult position. They want to know if he is going to prosecute the deep state. They want to know if he's going to prosecute the Clinton Foundation. And what is a new attorney general coming in supposed to say? Lock her up. Lock her up. Is Barr going to go into the Senate hearing chanting, lock her up? He can't do that. He has to be cool, and he has to be very neutral. He has to be very unbiased. He has to be very measured and reasonable, or they're not going to confirm him. So Barr was in a situation where there's already people on Twitter that are freaking out saying that we've got trouble. Barr isn't going to prosecute Hillary. He's not going to do anything. He's just like Sessions. Look, chill. It's all good. Uh, he has not yet been confirmed, and he's in a very difficult situation. He has to answer questions in a way that lets people know he doesn't have an axe to grind against Hillary or the deep state. Right? That's all they want to know. So I wouldn't make too much of that. Saw this on a news station out of Utah. An illegal immigrant was arrested in Utah for transporting meth and cocaine valued at over $850,000. He was also had his 16-year-old kid in the car with him. Another story, this is from the Washington Times. Natural Blue Resources, which is a green energy company that was co-founded by Nancy Pelosi's son, Paul. That company has been charged with fraud by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, Pelosi's son is no longer the CEO. The company was secretly being run by two guys named James Cohen and Joseph Karazi, both of whom had previous fraud convictions. Karazi had violated SEC laws previously and was barred from acting as an officer for a company. And Cohen was previously arrested on financial fraud and spent time in jail. Well, these two guys are actually running this green energy company that was founded by Nancy Pelosi's son. That the trading has been stopped and those guys have been arrested. There's actually been 4 people arrested, including former New Mexico Governor Tony Anaya. He was one of the people arrested. Apparently he was wrapped up in it too. So slush funds and money laundering, a lot of it. That's what it is. Let's see. Donald Trump had a talk with Erdogan today of Turkey, and I'm going to read his tweet. He says, I spoke with President Erdogan of Turkey to advise where we stand on all matters, including our last 2 weeks of success in fighting the remnants of ISIS and 20-mile safe zone. I also spoke about economic development between the U.S. and Turkey, great potential to substantially expand. So Trump is talking to Erdogan about possible economic growth, maybe some business deals in Turkey, and I'm sure Erdogan would probably like that. So for those of you who are concerned that the pull-out of troops in Syria is going to cause a mess with Turkey, I wouldn't worry about it. Trump is all over it. He's got things covered. If you're interested in a read, I'll put a link to this in the description box for this video. I read an article today that was released by the Defense Intelligence Agency. It is an unclassified assessment of China's military, its history, organizational structure, military philosophy, spending, their capabilities, their liabilities, and a long-term forecast. It includes a look at their space program, counterintelligence. Again, this document, it's fairly long. It's about 45 pages. It's an in-depth analysis from the Defense Intelligence Agency on China's military. And it's very encouraging to read this. China is way behind the United States in many respects as far as their military goes. They are catching up in some areas. They're developing technology, but we have a massive head start on China militarily. Like I said, if you're interested in reading this, you can find it on my Twitter timeline. I'll put it in the description box on this video too if you want to check it out. Very enlightening, although it is a long read. With just 73 days to go until Britain is scheduled to leave the European Union, British Parliament rejected Theresa May's Brexit deal, leaving the withdrawal from the EU in kind of no man's land. And there are people that are calling for May to step down. So they do not have a solution to Brexit yet. We don't know where it's going to go. There was, people were hoping that they would pull the trigger, but the Parliament rejected her deal that she had put together. So back to the drawing board on that as far as I can tell. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has announced there's going to be no recess for Senate next week if the government shutdown continues. Democrat leader in the House said the same thing. They are going to cancel next week's congressional recess if the government is still shut down. They're not going to let them go home. All right. In news of the fake news, Claire McCaskill has announced that she's joining NBC and MSNBC as a political commentator with a estimated net worth of $60 million. It's obviously not about the money for her. It's probably about shaping the narrative, anti-Trump narrative. I found this on The Hill. Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, quietly removed Russian billionaire Viktor Vekselberg from its board of trustees last year after the Treasury Department sanctioned him for advancing Russian malign activities. This has to do with Trump's December 21st of 2017 executive order on human trafficking, human rights violation, and corruption. He was one of the many, there was like 7 or 8 Russian oligarchs who were swept up in this corruption crackdown, and the Treasury Department froze their assets. And then MIT kind of kicked him off the board once he was, but they did it quietly under the radar. It wasn't really reported much. It just got reported today on The Hill. All right. Federal employees who are continuing to work without pay lost in court today. A federal judge in DC ruled that they will have to continue working without pay. Their labor unions had filed a lawsuit hoping to get a judge to overturn Trump's. The administration basically says, look, you're necessary workers. Your job is essential. You are going to have to keep coming in to work whether we pay you or not. And the labor unions tried to fight that. They lost. So the federal employees have to keep working even though they're not getting paid. Let's see what else is going on. This is not exactly new, but there's substantiation to something that a lot of us have known for a long time. So Q has been telling us that James Baker, former FBI chief counsel, one of James Comey's best buddies, has been under investigation for leaking. All right, we've known that, and that information has been out there. Well, today I found a letter from Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows, and it's a very interesting letter. The letter is written to U.S. Attorney John Durham, and he is he's in Connecticut. He's a U.S. attorney for Connecticut. And what happened is, while Meadows and Jim Jordan were interviewing him because he's cooperating with congressional investigators because he is being charged with leaking. Like I wrote in this blog post about a month ago, what if the arrests have already happened? All these guys have already been told, you're going down, we've got you dead to rights, we're going to prosecute every one of you unless you want to make a deal. And James Baker has cut a deal. And so in his testimony with congressional investigators, his attorney kept interrupting Jim Meadows saying, I don't want him to answer that question. He can't answer that question. That's something he can't talk about. And Jordan was like, why can't he talk about it? And his attorney goes, well, because there's already a criminal investigation underway and we can't talk about that. And Jordan's like, what do you mean there's a criminal investigation underway? And he says, U.S. Attorney John Durham out of Connecticut already has him in a criminal leak investigation. So the letter came out today. It was posted by Jordan and Meadows. I tweeted it out. And it's just confirmation of what we already know, that these people are being investigated for criminal activity. Yes, honey, you have a question?
Some people are asking if you can turn it up. A little sounded low.
I can't turn it up. I've got my mic right here. I can talk a little louder. I'll try to talk louder. I got the microphone right here. I don't have it at volume control. All right. So what else do we have tonight? Volkswagen will be spending $800 million to build a plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee to make electric cars. President tweeted this out this morning. Congratulations to Chattanooga and Tennessee on a job well done. Big win. And this, I think, is my last story. The Air Force has moved 3 B-2 stealth bombers to Joint Base Pearl Harbor, I think as a move, flexing a little military muscle to tell China that they better not try anything funny in the South China Sea. Now, those B-2 bombers, sometimes they're stationed over on Guam, but they moved 3 of them to Pearl Harbor. So, interesting move, probably a little show of force. All right. Oh, one more thing. I have another story. United States government is going to be releasing new proposed rules that govern civilian use of drones that would dramatically expand their ability to be used in flights above crowds of people and at night. That'll probably revolutionize the drone delivery. I know Amazon and other places have been talking about using drones to deliver packages. It's all been tightly restricted, and government is going to be releasing new proposed legislation and rules over that. So the actual rules have not been released, but they're going to be releasing proposed rules pretty soon. All right. That is all I have on this news update. Q has not posted, so that's all I got for you. I'm going to go. I love you all. Keep Q and the team in prayer. Keep the president and Melania in prayer. Keep us in prayer. I'll catch you on the next broadcast.